By 1984, the center of the college basketball world was a small Jesuit school located just 2 miles from the White House. Throughout its almost 200-year history, Georgetown University had been known for its high academic standards and its lousy basketball team. But part of that perception began to change in 1972, when an imposing former NBA backup center with little experience was hired as head coach.
Here was John Thompson, this black man. And he wasn't just any black man. Here's a guy, 6'10", 300 pounds. When you looked at him, he put the fear of God in you.
John Thompson off.
What Thompson brought to Georgetown was really what he learned backing up Bill Russell for the Celtics, and he built the team around defense.
When I first came to Georgetown University, I pointed to the wall and told them a national championship flag will fly in this building. See, the frustrating thing is with all that's going on in society today, why are we closing the door on kids who have motivation to try to do something constructive? You know, with all the fears that we have, I mean, at least let's be creative enough as educators, rather than to say we're going to ostracize these kids from society, of saying let's be creative enough to use these energies on kids who at least have some form of motivation. We're not saying drop the standards. People who want to demean what we are doing will always say that they are opposed to standards. We're not opposed to standards, have never been opposed to standards.
John Thompson is the first black coach to ever win the NCAA basketball championship.
I'm not interested in being the first or only black doing anything, because it implies that in 1984, a black man finally became intelligent enough to win the NCAA title, and that's a very misleading thing. I knew exactly the significance of me winning that game.
Or your paranoia on it.
You know, a young boy said to me in the press conference, did it mean anything to me to be the first African American? And I told him, if that means that I'm the first African American that had the intelligence enough to do it, I find it very offensive. Because there have been a lot of guys that come before me that never was provided with an opportunity to do this. I think that what we've got to understand is that we live in a different era now with young people, and these kids are exposed to a lot of things. They're more challenging. But those of us who are involved in the business of coaching, those of us who are involved in the business of teaching, that's a challenge. You don't expect the world to stay the same, and if the world changes, the people who are in the world change. So you don't see that as a fearful thing or something that you look at and that you're afraid of. A lot of people come to me and say, well, are you leaving college coaching because the young people are changing? Well, first of all, in all my years at Georgetown, Allen Iverson is the only young person that left who I did not want to leave because he was not prepared educationally or he was not prepared emotionally to deal with the NBA. Certainly, I knew he was going to be an outstanding star, and I thought he was a very intelligent person who will make the adaptations if he doesn't get in trouble.
Coach Thompson, Coach Thompson, saving my life. For giving me the opportunity. I was recruited by every school in the country for football and basketball. And an incident happened in high school, and all that was taken away. No other teams, no other schools were recruiting me anymore. My mom went to Georgetown and begged him to give me a chance, and he did.
The other thing that I find just a myth in America is an educated athlete. I don't believe anybody in America who's in business wants athletes to be educated if they intend on doing business with that athlete. And the minute that athlete becomes educated, they're somewhat offended by it. Because now an educated athlete doesn't just say, yes, our boss, and sit there. He starts to question the system. So now when you get guys like Patrick and Alonzo and Dikembe, and I was very proud because every time they got out of the car, the Georgetown guys were jumping up. But we had been arguing and fussing all the time about everything. I didn't always agree with every position that they took, even as it related to the lockout. But I was proud of the fact that now they're using their intelligence. Well, we talk a lot about athletes being educated. But the educated athlete, you're going to have problems. You're going to have lockouts, you're going to have boycotts, and people don't want that to happen.